page 878 and following. They're talking about what they can do. And Gandalf tells them, listen to the words of the steward of Gondor before he died. You may triumph on the fields of the Pelennor for a day, but against the power that has now risen, there is no victory. And then Gandalf says, I do not bid you despair, as he did, but listen to the truth in these words. Stones of seeing do not lie. That is, what Denethor was shown could not be false. He saw a massive army. Okay? So Gandalf goes on and says, you know, we barely won this battle. The next will be even greater. This war, then, is without final hope, as Denethor perceived. Victory cannot be achieved by arms. Notice, the war is without final hope. The ultimate conflict against Sauron is not without final hope. Okay? We cannot win, he says, by force of arms. Why? Sauron outnumbers us. So, here's your choice of evils. Prudence would counsel you to strengthen such strong places as you have. Await there the onset. The other option, march out against Sauron. So, Imrahil says, so you want us to retreat? Gandalf says, I didn't say that. Isn't this what you've been doing? I mean, ever since the last time Sauron was defeated, what has the quote-unquote West been doing? Building up its defenses. Okay? Didn't work. He says, I still hope for victory, but not by arms. There's still Frodo in the Ring of Power. So he says, you all know enough about this. If Sauron regains it, we're screwed. I mean, that's the modern language that Tolkien never would use. If it's destroyed, he will fall. His fall will be so low, this is the top of page 879. His fall will be so low that none can foresee his arising ever again. He will lose the best part of the strength that was native to him in his beginning. That is, the word native means what? Original. In his creation, he'll lose the best part of his strength that he had when he was made. Why? Because he put that in the ring. If that's destroyed, he will become a mere husk of what he was. All that was made or begun with that power will crumble. He will be maimed forever, becoming a mere spirit of malice, blah, blah, blah. And so a great evil of this world will be removed. Notice, Gandalf does not say, evil will be conquered. I will usher in, O age of Aquarius, and there will be singing and dancing and unicorns and, other evils there are that may come. Why? Sauron is himself but a servant or emissary. Just as Sauron's master was also defeated. It is not our part to master all the tides of the world. Tide there means times. It's not our part, he says, to master all the times of the world. What must we master? To do what is in us for the succor of those years wherein we are set. To solve the problems of our day. Why? So that those who live after may have clean earth to till. What weather they shall have? Not ours to rule. That is, whether they have bright sunshiny days or storms and frost. That's what they're going to have to deal with. He says, Sauron knows all this. Sauron knows the ring's been found, but he doesn't know where it is. Or who has it. And he says, you showed yourself to him, did you, Aragorn? You looked in the stone. He says, yes, I did. I thought it was time that someone challenged him. He's not been challenged in a long time. Okay? So, Gandalf says, Sauron's not yet sure where the ring is. He doesn't know if Aragorn has it or I have it. So, that's when he says, we need to become bait. He'll spring the trap on us. He'll empty Mordor And maybe that'll give Frodo just the chance he needs. Okay? We must walk, page 880. We must walk open-eyed into that trap with courage but small hope for ourselves. Small hope. I think that's an example of an old English literary technique called leitmotifs. It means severe understatement. So if it's an understatement, how much hope? No. None. Okay? But not none. Because no hope is despair. So how much hope? Yeah, 1% maybe. For my lords, it may well prove we ourselves shall perish utterly in a black battle far from the living lands, so that even if Barad-dûr be thrown down, we won't live. That is, our small hope might still be none. We might die, and Frodo might still win. Frodo might still succeed, but we'll already be toast. But this, I deem, is our duty. How did Tennyson put it? Ours is not to reason why, ours is but to do or die in the charge of the Light Brigade. Notice, they were silent for a while. Why?
That's a heavy thing.
Yeah, it's not very cheery news. Okay. I mean, it's pretty bleak. So, Elro here says, yeah, that's what Elrond says. That's why we came down, to bring this same kind of counsel. Okay? So, they march off. And as they march, yes.
So, if they throw the ring in the volcano, wouldn't the orcs still kick everyone's butt? Because don't they still outnumber everyone, all the humans?
They do outnumber everyone. But why are the orcs fighting?
Because Sauron's will is over them. He's basically
Yes, mostly. Okay? They're fighting not because of love of Sauron, not because they believe in Sauron. Tolkien makes this really clear. I think it's pretty clear in the novel, but he makes it crystal clear in his letters. They fight because of fear. And when Sauron is destroyed, give ending way, when Sauron is destroyed, not if, that fear dissipates. They lose their will to fight. Okay? Now, it is in an orc's nature kind of to fight. Because orcs have been so twisted from what they originally were. I think I mentioned it here. Orcs were originally elves. Thousands upon thousands of years ago. Elves that have been twisted and bred and inbred, okay, in such a way that now, at this point in the age of Middle-earth, the end of the third age and beginning of the fourth age of Middle-earth, there is no redeeming quality. I'm a member of the group on Facebook, and one of the questions that's been asked and some people are debating is, can orcs go to the place that elves go to when elves die? Because they are elves. They are twisted, mistreated, rot. Okay, and part of the argument, that some of these people are making is, orcs in a sense are within a Christian framework, are kind of like, Calvin's portrayal of humans, totally depraved. And so Tolkien kind of creates this visual image of them that way for us. And yet even Calvin says people who are totally depraved can go to heaven. It's just God selects, you're saved, the rest of you go to hell. Because it's a very, very small number kind of a thing. Okay? So to get back to your question, no, they lose the desire to fight when Sauron gets killed. And, we kind of saw that when the Captain of the Nine got killed. That sent a shiver. Well, we're going to see the same thing very, very soon. Okay? So, as they march towards the Black Gate, there's a trumpeter going out kind of ahead of Aragorn, blowing a trumpet, doing what? Claiming all the lands for Gondor and the future king. He's not been crowned king yet. Okay? But he's coming. That's the import there. They get to the Black Gate. A messenger comes out. Not just a messenger. This guy is called the mouth of Sauron. That is, he speaks for Sauron. He has Sauron's authority. And what does he do? Kind of opens up his cloak and shows them Frodo's mithril coat. And what else? Some of their elvish belongings. And Pippin goes, ah! And he says, man, what is it with these little things you guys like? You have one of these imps with you? Gandalf tells, Pippin to shut up. And Gandalf says, name the terms. Why? Maybe Frodo and Sam are still alive. So name the terms. What are they thinking? Gandalf's going to say yes. Yes. Sauron wins. Just so we can have Frodo and Sam back. 2 lives versus all the lives of the rest of Middle-earth? Well, the assumption is if he has Frodo and Sam, what else does he already have? Wouldn't it already be clear that he has the ring? Yeah, it would. So Gandalf's pretty sure. He might have their clothing, but he doesn't have them. Okay? So, he gives the terms, page 890, and we're told, Gandalf says, these we will take. He casts aside his cloak. The white light shines forth. He strides over to the guy. He takes the coat, cloak, and sword. Says, we'll take these in memory of our friend. In other words, if they're not dead yet, or if he's not dead yet, he will be soon. But as for Sauron's terms, we reject them utterly. Get you gone, for your embassy is over, death is near you. We did not come here to waste words in treating with Sauron, faithless and accursed, still less with one of his slaves. And all hell breaks loose. Yes?
Isn't the mouth of Sauron like a Numenorian as well? So it's like a disrelative of Aragon.
Unless that's mentioned in that appendix. I don't think we're told that.
No, not in this. No.
Yeah, not in the.
I think it mentions it in the Silmarillion.
Okay, it might be in the Silmarillion, and it's been years since I've read the Silmarillion. Okay, so what happens? All hell breaks loose. Pippin is there. Why? Because Merry got injured. So Pippin kind of has to get injured too. And the last thing Pippin hears before he passes out is he hears, page 893, the eagles are coming. The eagles are coming. And he thinks, Bilbo, whoa, wait, that's Bilbo's story. That's the Hobbit. Because Bilbo passes out. When he hears the eagles are coming, the eagles are coming. And Tolkien finishes book 5, and we go all the way back to the Tower of Cirith Ungol. Okay? Sam is outside the doors. Frodo is inside the doors, captured by the orcs. And Sam's thinking, I'm a damn fool. Which, he is. His name, by the way, Samwise Gamgee. This means half wise. Can you really be half wise? It's either you're wise or you're not. So it's kind of, idiot Gamgee, okay? Or Gamgee if you want. So, Sam figures out what he's going to do. Pages 900, 901. He thinks about the ring. He's thinking this is hopeless. And we're told, bottom of page 900, no sooner had he come inside of Mount Doom, burning far away, than he was aware of a change in his burden. As it drew near the great furnaces where in the deeps of time it had been shaped and forged, the ring's power grew, became more fell, untamable, save by some mighty will. Untamable, that is, the ring could not be controlled. And Sam stands there, And even though the ring was not on him, that is, he's not wearing it, but it's hanging on the chain, what happens? It's like the ring goes, okay, buddy, this is what you could be. Just put me on and say, the ring is mine. And what does he see? He sees, page 901, Samwise the Strong, hero of the age, all 3 feet of him. And armies, striding with a flaming sword across the darkened land, armies flocking to his call as he marched to the overthrow of Barad-dûr, and all the clouds rolled away, and the sun shone, and at his command, the Vale of Gorgoroth became a garden of flowers and trees, and brought forth, at his command, let there be flowers, trees, and fruit. And it suddenly is. All he had to do was put on the ring and claim it. And in that hour of trial, it was the love of his master that helped most to hold him firm. But also deep down in him lived still unconquered his plain hobbit sense. Now what does Tolkien mean by plain hobbit sense?
Common sense.
Common sense. It's the thing that causes Frodo, back when they're captured by the Barrow-wight, it's the thing that causes Frodo not to put on the ring and leave the barrow, but to think of his friends and to start singing a song to Tom Bombadil. He knew in the core of it, this is his hobbit sense, he knew in the core of his heart he was not large enough to bear such a burden. Even if such visions were not a mere cheat to betray him. No. What does Sam want? The one small garden of a free gardener was all his need and due. That is, that's all the quote-unquote world owed him. Just a little garden. Go to England someday, walk around London, and look at people's front yards. They're, most of them, I'm not kidding, this big. If they're lucky, they might have this much, from here to that wall to that wall. I've actually seen places like that with the riding mowers. Parked over there. Takes, more time to start the damn mower than it does to mow the yard. So, Sam does what? Kind of like Galadriel with her temptation, he passes the test. He will remain Sam Gamgee and become a little gardener. Or stay a little gardener if you want. Okay? So he gets back in. He chases down the orcs. And I'm going to skip a bunch. He rescues Frodo. Sings a song, makes Frodo replies, etc., etc. Frodo tells Sam, pages 910, 911, it's too late. They took everything. Sam, do you get it? Everything. And Sam goes, no, not everything, Mr. Frodo. I've got it. And what does Frodo immediately become? Gollum. You've got it. Give it to me. Give it to me at once. You can't have it. It's my creation. Just. So Frodo, Sam gives him the ring, etc. And they leave. Now, how are they able to leave? How come Sam doesn't have to become the mighty elf lord and kill a whole bunch of orcs? They killed each other. Kind of tells you, you don't want to place all your trust in orcs. Like Sauron does. So, they go into Mordor. Kind of ring the front doorbell as they're doing so. And on page 918, Sam tells Frodo, Gollum's still around. And he says, and there's a lot of ways between us and the mountain. And Frodo says, look here, Sam, dear lad, page 918. I am tired, weary, I haven't a hope left. I am without hope. The ring is enough. The extra weight is killing me. It must go. That is, the extra weight, the stuff I'm carrying. Okay? Sam says, okay. Says you can wear my cloak, etc. Bottom of 918. Why does Frodo not have his elven cloak? The elves took it. Got sent to. Okay? Bottom of 918. Frodo mentions, man, I wish we had some water. Really parched. And Sam says, "There now, Mr. Frodo, it's you that's talking of water this time. If only the lady could see us, the lady, Galadriel, could see us or hear us, I'd say to her, all we want is light and water. Just clean water and plain daylight." Yeah, but they're in hell, okay? Metaphorically speaking. And you want clean water and plain daylight? Well, next page. They go off, page 919, and Sam notices it's getting a light up in the north. Wind's blowing. And Sam says, "Look at it, Mr. Frodo. Look at it. The wind's changed. Something's happening. He's not having it all his own way. His darkness is breaking up out in the world there. Wish I could see what is going on." And the narrator kind of steps in. "Well, Sam, here's what's going on. It was the morning of the 15th of March. Over the Vale of Anduin, the sun was rising above the eastern shadow. The southwest wind was blowing. Theoden lay dying on the Pelennor fields. If the sun is rising, the wind is blowing, what else is happening? Aragorn is taking to the ships. The flag with the white tree is being unfurled. And Eowyn is about to kill the captain of the Nine. The wind is blowing against Sauron. This is a eucatastrophe. It's a small one. Okay? The Lord of the Ringwraiths had met his doom. So, Sam's quick spirits sank once again. He got what? He got daylight. He got daylight. Bottom of the next page, 920. They hear a trickle. And there's water. And Sam says, "If ever I see the lady again, I will tell her, light and now water. Let me drink first, Mr. Frodo." Frodo's like, "There's room enough for both of us, Sam. I'm thirsty." No, that's not it. Why does he want to drink first? If it's bitter, if it's poisoned, or poisonous. Frodo's like, "I know what you mean, Sam, but, if we're going to die, let's die together." Okay? So, they go on. They march and march and march and march. They get caught by orcs. Not really caught. They come into the marching and then they drop back off. And we skip a whole bunch. And we get to chapter 3. Sam looks at the mountain, says, "That's at least a week." And Frodo's wasted, man. I mean, he's almost gone. Top of 934. Sam suddenly realizes there could be no return. It hits him for the first time. I'm not going to make it back. So that was the job I felt I had to do when I started. To help Mr. Frodo to the last step and then die with him? Well, if that is the job, then I must do it. But I would dearly like to see Bywater again. Why? What's in Bywater? We have one down here on Main Street. Green Dragon. The pub. Okay? And Rosie Cotton and her brothers. I think more Rosie than her brother, but and the Gaffer and Marigold and all. I can't think somehow Gandalf would have sent Mr. Frodo on this errand if there hadn't been any hope of this ever coming back at all. Well, there wasn't no hope of it coming back at all. I mean, there was that 1%. But even as hope died in Sam, or seemed to die, it was turned to new strength. Sam's plain hobbit face grew stern. The will hardened in him. In other words, all right, if this is it, then we're going to see this to its end. So, they go on. We're going to skip a bunch again. Page 937. Sam wakes up Frodo, and Frodo says, "I can't do it. It's too heavy." What does Sam offer? "I can carry it for you." Frodo says, "No, it is too late now, Sam dear. You can't help me in that way again. I am almost in its power now. Yet, we were told earlier, Frodo says, I have no hope. What did Gandalf tell Frodo at the very beginning of the novel, in the chapter The Shadow of the Past? About the ring and mortals.
It will consume them.
Any mortal who possesses the ring too long will be possessed, consumed by the ring. Okay? I could not give it up. He's telling Sam that now. They still have miles to go. And if you tried to take it, I should go mad. Okay? Sam's like, that's cool. I understand. That's all right. But let's get rid of the rest of this baggage. They keep going. Okay? Page 939. No, let's skip that. Bottom of 940. Sam decides, tells Frodo, I can carry you. So he carries Frodo. 942. They get to the base of the mountain and they find a path. And Frodo says, I'll crawl. Foot by foot, they creep up the slope. They almost get there. They stop, and Frodo's hand does this. Because it wants to put on the ring, and Sam does this. And suddenly Sam is attacked from the back. Wicked master. Wicked master cheats us, cheats me. Oh, we mustn't go that way. Mustn't hurt British. Give it to me. Oh, yes, give it to us, give it to us. And Sam noticed, throws him off, and he's ready to. He sees Gollum and Frodo locked kind of in combat. And we hear and see, bottom of 943. Down, down, Frodo says, clasping his hand to his breast. Down, you creepy thing, and out of my path. Your time is at an end. You cannot betray me or slay me now. Notice, this is Frodo. The narrator makes clear. Top of the next page, however, and then suddenly Sam sees Frodo and Gollum kind of differently. As before under the eaves of the Emmy Mule, Sam saw these two rivals with other vision. A crouching shape, scarcely more than the shadow of a living thing. Why? Because Gollum is wraith-like. Not literally. He's not literally turning into smoke. But he is almost totally consumed by the ring. Almost. In other words, there is like 1% of Smeagol still there. The other, stern, untouchable now by pity, a figure robed in white. But at its breast it held a wheel of fire. Out of the fire a voice speaks. Notice, out of the wheel of fire, not out of the figure's mouth. A voice speaks. Begone and trouble me no more. Who's the me?
The ring.
Is it the ring speaking? Is the ring channeling through Frodo? If you touch me ever again, you shall be cast yourself into the fire of doom. Crouching shape backs away. The vision passes. Sam sees Frodo. Sam sees Gollum. Legs and hands splayed out like he's getting ready to pounce. He tells Frodo, you go, I'll take care of him. What does he mean? I'll deal with him. What do you do with a bug? Squish it. Frodo goes on, and Sam goes, now, at last, I can deal with you. In other words, I've been wanting to do this ever since you first jumped down off that rock and bit me on the shoulder. He leaps forward, blade drawn, ready for battle, and what does Gollum do? Like a possum. He just kind of rolls over. Don't kill us. Don't hurt us with nasty, cruel steel. Let us live, yes, live just a little longer. Just a little longer? Lost, lost, we're lost. And the precious girls will die. Yes, die into the dust. Dust. What's Gollum mean? He knows a couple of things. He knows what Frodo is there to do. He knows what will happen when the ring is destroyed. What did Gandalf say in the last debate? Everything done by the power of the ring will start being undone. Okay? And Sam's hand wavers. He wants to kill him. It would be just to slay this treacherous, murderous creature, just and many times deserved. What did Gandalf say back in that chapter? Deserves death? I dare say he does. But deep in his heart, something stops him. Why? He could not strike this thing lying in the dust, forlorn. That means lost, ruinous, utterly wretched.
So are you saying when Frodo and then for the ring, Gollum's gonna like just disappear, or is he gonna like?
Yeah, Gollum will die the moment the ring is destroyed. Why? The only reason he is still alive is because the ring still exists. And it's because Gollum held the ring for so long. Gollum had the ring for over 600 years. See, the ring allows you to not die. You become a wraith. Okay? That's why the nine Nazgul are wraiths, because they were given rings by Sauron. The power of their ring comes from the power of this one ring. Okay? When the three rings were given to the elven lords, the power of those rings is connected to the power of this ring. Which is why Galadriel thinks, if Frodo is successful, what will happen to Lothlorien?
It'll vanish.
You can't find it in our world. Why? Because Middle Earth is our world. But you can't find Lothlorien, you can't find Rivendell. They no longer exist. The One Ring's been destroyed. We've left the Third Age and gone on to the Fourth Age. So yeah, Gollum will die, and Gollum is aware of that. But Sam can't kill him. One of the reasons Sam can't kill him is Sam held the ring. Not only held it, he wore it. He put it on. He felt the power that the ring could give. He felt the temptation. For how long? No, longer than that. It was hours. It was hours. Might have been a day. Gollum? 600 years. He himself, though only for a little while, had worn the ring, and now dimly he guessed the agony of Gollum's shriveled mind and body, enslaved to that ring, unable to find peace or relief. And notice, Tolkien doesn't end the sentence there. Ever in life again. I think the ever in life again is because Tolkien is implying, because of his Catholicism, Gollum might find peace in death. He might find his quote-unquote redemption, so to speak, or as Gandalf put it, his cure in death. But notice, Sam doesn't have the words to express this. Why? I think it's because he's half-wise. He has it up here, but he doesn't have the ability to express it. And what does he say? Oh, curse you. Well, that already happened. You touch me again, you're dead. That's a pretty strong curse. Sam runs up. He lets Gollum go. Sam runs up. He sees Frodo, bottom of 945. And he hears Frodo's voice. Now, it's not a thin, dying, thirsty, hungry. I've come. It's loud, it's deep, it's booming. I have come, but I do not choose now to do what I came to do. Notice, I. I will not do this deed. The ring is mine. What is the ring doing there? The ring is saying, the hobbit is mine, This is the ring totally winning. Frodo is a failure. He fails the quest. He's not a moral failure. Why? He doesn't choose to do this. This is the ring finally exerting total control. Frodo has no moral will at this point really left. It goes back to the beginning. The ring will take any mortal who tries to control it. And he puts it on his finger, and Sam probably thinks to himself, damn, I got him all the way here. And he couldn't hold out just a little bit. Okay? Sam gets knocked from behind. Gollum, obviously. And we're told, meanwhile, back at Barad-dûr, the tower far to the north, Sauron and goes, oh, Gandalf, you pull the fast one on me. And his folly was revealed to him in a blinding flash, and all the devices of his enemies were last laid bare. And notice, because Sauron is filled with what for the ring? Desire. He cannot imagine anyone would what?
Destroy it.
Or not feel that desire. This is why, the course has, as its title, the renunciation of power. Tolkien says the Lord of the Rings is ultimately about due power. That is, due power, and it was he calls due worship. There are certain people, Tolkien would argue, that other people ought to give deference to, ought to give honor to, ought to give glory to. Okay? Aragorn, for example, not Grima Wormtongue. Okay? They are deserving of that. Not because of nobility and all that kind of stuff. Behavior matters, that kind of thing. The renunciation of power, however, do we see Aragorn walk around, at Rowan? Did you go up to Éomer and go, bow down before me, peon horse boy. I am the future. No. He doesn't claim power. He only gets power when it is duly and appropriately given to him. Okay? He cannot become king until the ring is destroyed. So if Frodo fails, he'll never be king. Guess what else will never happen if he never becomes king? He doesn't get to marry Elrond's daughter. Elrond gave Aragorn a task like Berin's future father-in-law gave to Beren. Thingol said to Beren, you cannot marry my daughter Luthien until you bring me a Silmaril from the crown of Morgoth. So you got to march down into hell, and you got to cut a Silmaril from his crown. Bring it to me in your hand. He goes, really? That's all? Man, you sell your daughters cheap around here. Well, he dies in the process. His hand is brought to him in the belly of a wolf. They cut the wolf open. There's the hand, and there's the Silmaril. Beren's brought back to life. He and Luthien go off to live happily ever after, etc., etc. Okay? So, Frodo gets attacked by Gollum, and what happens? Not like in the film. The ring doesn't get, kind of tossed, and Frodo's like, oh, I can reach it, Sam. He gets the ring bitten off, and we're told, bottom of 946, Gollum, dancing like a mad thing, held aloft the ring, a finger still thrust through it. It shone now as if verily it was wrought of living fire. Precious, 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 my precious, oh my precious. Okay. He stepped too far, toppled, wavered for a moment on the brink, and then fell. Question. Is this intentional? Or is it entirely unintentional? Some think it's a little bit intentional. That Gollum, this is Gollum gone. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty. Free at last of this damn ring. Free of the burden of life, etc., etc. There was, back when X-Files was on, back in the 90s, there was an episode of X-Files about an immortal. Okay? It's one of the best episodes. And the guy wanted to die. Why? Well, because he was immortal. And he talks to Mulder about, the last couple hundred years of life. Marrying, having children, seeing those children grow up, have grandchildren, and then die. And seeing the grandchildren die, and the great-grandchildren, and the great-great-great-grandchildren, and marrying again, and going through the whole, and the guy just can't die. And he wants to die. Why? Because immortality is not a case of every day waking up and life being fuller, richer, more wonderful. How is it described for the elves? It's just going on. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It just goes on. Does it get better? Think of how Bilbo described it. Thin and stretched. Too little butter over too much bread. Okay? So, the ring's destroyed. 947. Sauron's destroyed. Barad-dûr shakes to its very foundations. Back at north of the Black Gate, just outside the Black Gate, all of Sauron's forces, they're like the drones in the one Star Wars film when the command, spaceship gets blown up and they're all, okay? Frodo said, well, this is the end, Sam. What's he mean? We're goners. Why? What else happened when the ring, it starts to go through an eruption process? And Sam's like, Master, your poor hand, etc., etc. Okay? So Frodo said, but do you remember Gandalf's last words? Even Gollum may have something yet to do. But for him, Sam, I could not have destroyed the ring. Well, Frodo's taking a little bit of credit there that Frodo shouldn't be taking credit for. He didn't destroy the ring.
He got it all the way there, though.
He got it there. He got it there.
He stayed his hand with Gollum.
Did he get it there by himself?
No.
Okay. He didn't kill Gollum. So let us forgive him. Well, that's a religious kind of notion. Where does forgiveness come in Middle Earth? Okay? For the quest is achieved and now all is over. And I'm glad you're here with me, Sam, here at the end of all things. So let's, put our head between our knees, our kiss our what's goodbye, because meanwhile, back in the north, the battle raged, etc., etc. Gandalf says Sauron's over. He calls Gwaihir the Windlord and says, I got a mission for you. They go to find Sam and Frodo. And page 950. Sam's like, so maybe we can go outside the fissure to the mountain, get some fresh air. It's, Sam says, it's not like me to just give up, Frodo, but it's like things are in the world. Remember, creative fantasy is founded upon the hard recognition that things are so in the world as it appears under the sun. This is Frodo. This is how the world looks, Sam. It sucks, and then you die. Okay? Here we've done the sucking, and now we're about to die. Hopes fail, and end comes. He says, well, okay, but the end can come when we are outside the mountain. We can walk a little ways down. Oh, okay, Sam, if you want to. Frodo thinks that's what? Merely delaying the inevitable. I'll go. Well, what would have happened had they not gone outside the mountain and stayed inside? Why? Because the eagles are flying all around looking down and like, no little maggots walking on the mountain. I mean, they can't see them. It's not like the X-ray vision or whatever. So they get rescued. And we don't have time to do much more. They get taken to the field of Karmala and they pass out. They wake up. And on Monday, let's see here. Yeah, on Monday we're going to pick up on page 960 and 961 with the Houses of Healing with Eowyn and Faramir. We will definitely finish on Monday. Don't laugh. Why are you doing that? Oh, that's why. So we'll finish on